On today's show, Luka Doncic goes off, but the Dallas Mavericks couldn't get anything going against the Clippers. We'll talk about how, why, and what needs to change on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member, NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know. Oh boy, can't believe I'm about to ask this. What's one frustration you have with the Dallas Mavericks right now? Let it go. Be known in the comment section. I have a feeling this is going to be one of our most commented on videos ever.
Oh, no. Joining
me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com. The clipped Clipper, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Thought you were talking about clipping.
Yep. A word has two meanings. How about that? You could use it in two different ways.
I know. I was like talking about clipping pressers. One of the things I'll go ahead and answer the frustrated thing.
Yeah,
they let Moses Brown go. I mean,
the Mavs did.
The Mavs let Moses Brown go, and
this drop is about Moses Brown.
This is a positive world. We'll take the positive. He was +2.
He was +2 in that whatever game that was.
Get ready for it. We talked to Moses Brown at Media Day.
Yeah,
last year, and I'll always remember us asking him, "Hey, what's your perfect first date?" And Moses Brown said, "Probably go to Papa Do's."
It's a good one. It's a good first date.
It was great. But tonight sucked, for the Mavs, obviously losing to the Clippers. And I just have to ask, what did the rest of the team do during the TCU Georgia game the night before?
Yeah, Luka was inspired by that game. He goes, "Oh, we're not gonna lose. We're not gonna lose like that. We're not gonna get blown out like TCU did the night before."
Did they enjoy their night in LA the night before? Coming up next,
they must have. Just at least in the first quarter, you're like, "Oh man," you could just tell them coming out of the gates. It was a rough one. But let's start with this. Luka was incredible. 43 points. He now has the most 40-point games in regular season and/or playoffs against the Clippers than any player in NBA history. More than Kobe Bryant, more than anybody, which is kind of wild just how this kind of rivalry has sort of developed over the last couple of years here with them playing in the playoffs twice in 7-game series and all that kind of stuff. But with Luka, I have to ask this question to start. He plays the whole third quarter. He normally plays the whole third quarter. He starts the fourth quarter. He plays the whole fourth quarter, and he was aggressive. Scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, and looked off teammates. I thought a lot in that quarter. Took 6 shots, went to the free throw line 8 times, 0 assists, and you can't really blame him. I'm not blaming him for the strategy. What I'm curious about, was he making a statement? Was he making a statement like, "Hey, it's nobody but me out here right now"?
I don't know if it's as much of a statement as in his mind he's looking at it saying, "This is the best chance for us to win and come back, is for me to take this thing over." And
is that a statement in and of itself though?
Yeah, but I think he's doing it in the mindset of to win the game instead of trying to make a statement to the organization or coaching staff, all of that. He puts up 20 points in the fourth, and like you said, he played 43, played all but 5 minutes of this game, right at I think 43 minutes total in the game, but
entire second half.
Yeah, and he finishes with 43, and I thought, kind of like what you alluded to, I thought he was looked a little sluggish in the first quarter, a little bit, and even though they were clearly wanting to target Zubats there and get him in foul trouble and all that, which is just funny in itself. Shout out to Zubats for still rocking the buzz cut. There's not too many guys in the league that just rocks the straight buzz cut. You go to college and just I can't spend money on a haircut, so you just do the.
It's Zubats. It's Bobby Karalla. It's. There's not many guys that like to rock that buzz cut like that.
I'm gonna text him right now and tell him.
But yeah, Luka was incredible. Even from the start, like you said, they started in the first quarter and Zubac scored 2 really quick buckets against Dwight where you're just like, he just looks overpowered. It's one of the reasons why the Mavs tried to go out and get a center and ended up failing to get an effective center in the offseason. And then Luka drew 2 fouls against Zubac in literally a 7-second period. Literally 9:31, he draws the first foul, and then 9:24, he draws the second foul on Zubac. And then at the 7-minute mark, he draws the third foul on. They have to take him out. And like, honestly, that was one of the worst things that could have happened to the Mavs because that 5-out lineup came out there where they were playing all wings, and Clippers fans have been asking for all wings. I saw our old friend Charles Mockler tweeting about this during the game. He was like, "Oh, Covington played at the 5 and they played man and they played all these wings and they played really well. Wow, big surprise." Like, Clippers fans have been asking for lineups like that for a while. They haven't really been going to them. They've been trying Moses Brown. They've been doing the Zubac thing. And then he gets out with foul trouble, and then the Mavericks all of a sudden don't look like they can hang.
I think I saw Law Murray, great reporter for the Athletic,
friend of the pod.
Clippers, friend of the pod. I think he tweeted out during the game that this was the most minutes that Covington's played all season and his highest plus minus that he's had all season in a game. And
he's like, if Reggie Bullock can play.
I actually do think this is Kawhi Leonard's best game of the season so far. I don't know if it's a Mavericks thing. I mean, we could talk about how they let's just do it now.
Yeah.
What's our thoughts on how they defended him tonight? Because early on, I wrote down the first quarter, both teams doubling their stars. Little bit different for the Clippers whenever Kawhi gets doubled compared to when Luka gets doubled for Dallas.
Yeah, I asked our current Locked On Clippers host Dari, and I was like, "Is this the best that Kawhi has looked all year?" And he said they played Boston, they beat Boston recently, and he looked really good in that one, but he only scored 26 points in that one. I think this was probably his best game that he's played, and it was just as if Kawhi was peak Kawhi. You're out there and like you were just expecting him to come, like that he had not been hurt or anything like that. Like that's the way he looked out there. And the Mavericks decided, all right, we're going to double him every time, no matter what happens.
Every freaking time.
And what happened with this team, this is one of the reasons. There's several. We'll go over all of them. But one of the reasons why they lost is they're without Josh Green, they're without Dorian, they're without Maxey. And because of that, it's not just because of that, but because of that, they tried to double Kawhi because nobody can guard Kawhi. Bullock hasn't been defending at the level where he can successfully guard Kawhi. Nobody really can successfully guard Kawhi when he's playing that way. And when he's got his strength, he's going to his mid-range shot, all that kind of stuff. But they try to double Kawhi, and then you play this 5-out offense, the Clippers do, where they're spreading you across the floor, and the Mavericks, when they double, you have to rotate back, and the person that has to rotate back all the way over to the open guy is one of the guys that doubles. And so you're asking somebody to run from one side of the court to the other, and the ball is always going to be faster than the guy that rotates or the guy that runs, and you just can't make it there. And the Clippers were just making so many open shots. It felt like they went 100% from open shots in the first two quarters. It felt like that's where they got all of their lead from, was just like hitting those open shots off of the double.
You know, you just saw a difference. Actually, coming up next, I want to talk about the difference between both these teams because one of these teams is really good at rotating on defense. Shocker, won't spoil it. It's coming up.
Talk about that coming up. Before we do, let me tell great team. Let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You can go and you don't have to play against these professionals. You don't have to join a league where it's like daily fantasy, but it's also like a league-wide thing. If you don't do it every day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. All that. You can go check it out right now. They have Milwaukee versus Atlanta. This one's kind of interesting. Giannis. You pick the more or less 32.5 points for Giannis against the Hawks.
Over.
Yeah, pick more for Giannis. Trae Young against the Bucks, 26.5, more or less.
Under against Drew.
Do less against Drew Holiday there. You can pick a bunch of other stuff. You can add DeJounte Murray, 19.5. Ooh, that one's kind of interesting.
Over?
Yeah, give me the more on that one. If you put down $20, you put all three of those down, put down $20, you win 45. If you put down $100, you'd win 225. You can even hit the power play on that one. There's all kinds of different like multipliers and payouts. And if you do that, you put down 100, you could win $500 on just those 3 plays. So go check it out. It's Prize Picks. Use the promo code LOCKEDON to get 100% instant deposit match with up to $100. Promo code LOCKEDON. It's prizepicks.com. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. Let's get back into this game. The Dallas Mavericks lose to the Clippers. They made it close at times. They were down by 23 at one point. They fought all the way back in the third quarter. They made it a 10-point game, and you're like, ooh, Mavs getting some life here. They just need to make a couple of threes, and all of a sudden this game is back in order. But the thing that really did them in was they just could not get stops. At certain points in this game, in the middle of the third quarter, I wrote, the Mavs can't get a single stop. And that was what was really standing out as the Mavs rotations versus the Clippers rotations.
Yes, that's what it was. Is, the Clippers, when you look at some of their, even looking at their 3-point stats, their opponent 3-point stats this season, they're 17th in the league in 3-point attempts per game from their opponent. Okay. So they allow their opponent to take around 34 threes a game. Dallas took 38 threes tonight, but they're first in the league in opponent 3-point percentage. So they're the best in the league at, obviously some of this is luck a little bit because you're missing shots, but not all of it's luck. That means that you're defending the 3-point line really, really well. And tonight, Dallas shot 31% from three, but that's a testament to how good you're rotating, especially whenever you're going against a guy like Luka that you're going to go out there and double, which they doubled Luka a decent amount tonight.
Yeah, they did.
Man, look at the differences, though. Whenever, Dallas, not to pick on Christian Wood, but when you have Christian Wood, Dwight Powell, some of these bigger, I know Dwight got injured in this game, but some, Davis, you get some of these guys that are not the quickest and not the best at rotating. And it's like, even look at the Norm Powell, highlight, the dunk. They swing it so fast over to Norm Powell, and Christian Wood's trying his best to get out there, but he's just, limbering out there, and he tries to close out. But Norm Powell just pump fakes and goes right past Christian Wood, and then jumps up and yams it on Tim as he's trying to rotate too. Tim's not the best rotating defender either, so it's like what a difference tonight when you're seeing Kawhi and some of these guys rotating so fast. Even Nick Batum, he's not the fastest dude in the world, but he's so smart
and long.
And it's like they're just on a string out there rotating after they're doubling Luka. But when Dallas is trying to double Kawhi, that's why I was obviously we get into it like, oh, what would we do as a coach, whatever. I'm like, at this point, I think I would let Kawhi torches. Like, I'd almost put Luka on Kawhi or put somebody, probably not Tim, but somebody else, and just say, can you just try to slow him down and then have everybody else
Seth
stay
Curry
home?
still on the team? Can we get Seth Curry to guard Kawhi? What a throwback that was.
Because they just couldn't rotate in time, to defend the other guys, and that was just hard to watch.
Yeah, and the Clippers, to their credit, hit open shots. They hit a bunch of open shots. They shot, in the first half, I thought they were 46% from three, and they were hitting their mid-range shots. And they got a bunch of guys that can just hit shots like that, and they were all really hitting well. Marcus Morris had a good first half. You had Terrence Mann hit a couple of shots. Norman Powell hit a couple of shots, and that's kind of all they needed at a certain point because the Mavericks couldn't defend. And then another thing with that is when you're scoring so easily, when the Clippers are just scoring so easily, and then the Mavericks are trying so hard to score on the other end, it just makes everything harder because then all of a sudden you're like, all right, well, now we're going against the Clippers score, and now we're going against a set defense on the other side instead of maybe a transition bucket, which can the Mavs buy a transition bucket at this point? They got one in the beginning of the fourth quarter, and Ty Lue called a timeout. But they can't get any transition buckets. 5 fast break points, 6 second chance points. We got to get into that now. This game was also lost because of offensive rebounds, right? Everybody clowns you for saying that rebounds don't matter, but offensive rebounds.
I've never said the rebounds don't matter.
Offensive rebounds have always mattered, right? That's been a thing that has always mattered. If you're not going to put in the effort and not going to get those rebounds, you're just not going to win. 12 offensive rebounds for the Clippers, 20 second chance points for the Clippers. Mavs only get 6. Now, Dwight Powell went out. Maxi's still out. JaVale McGee can't play. It's like, all right, they're just running out of options here. Christian Wood, 3 boards. 1 offensive rebound. You're playing against wings a lot of time because Zubac's fouled out or is out because of foul trouble, and you're like, you can only get 3 rebounds? Really? That's what you're doing in this game? He was calling for fouls more times than he was boxing out trying to go for these boards. You're like, all right, if you want to get paid, if you want to be on this team, you got to do some of these things that the Mavericks didn't do before you got here. And that's one of the things. And Luka's the best rebounder on the team still.
Yeah,
we can count probably all the things that Luka is the best on the team at still. And it's what was that stat a while ago that was Luka has like it's like a ton more times Luka has led his team in points, rebounds, and assists, and it was like 100 more than Jokic has in his career. And you're like, what? That seems insane. It was like 40 or 50 or 100, or it was some giant number. And you're like, that seems insane, but it's because like nobody else is doing these things and stepping up.
You know, you mentioned JaVale a bit ago. There was, not to pick on him too much because he only played, almost 3 minutes.
You can pick on him because he can't play.
Yeah, but there was a moment tonight. I'm like, all right, that kind of like persona, or not really. That's the example of what's the difference of him this year. And I'm like, whoa, okay, is when Norm Powell drives baseline on him, literally goes right around him in the paint, like at the rim, and just does like a layup, and JaVale like jumps and is just late. And he was just, you could tell like just the reflexes on of like how late he was to jump and contest it. It was just too fast for him. And I was like, oh man, this is tough. That is just an example of JaVale that. But what were you gonna say?
Go ahead. No, you can keep going. I was gonna change lanes.
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna change lanes just a little bit to a bigger picture of, because you're talking about Christian Wood. Wood was 2 of 7 in this game, had 12 points, was -16, 3 boards, only took 1 3 in this game. A lot was made about the 7-game win streak, right? Like, not just Christian Wood, but this whole team. And, it was a little bit, before they started this little stretch of games against, Boston, New Orleans, OKC, this game in LA. Obviously, they got the Lakers and then, Portland, twice. But it was these, little 4-game stretch here, kind of those 3 teams, assuming New Orleans had everybody going into it. But we're like, all right, now we're going to kind of see like what this team's really about, right?
Sure.
Like, they won those 7 games. 3 of those were against, the Rockets, a 4th against San Antonio. Like,
3
the
of
Knicks
games against the Rockets.
And it's like the Knicks game didn't have Brunson, RJ, and that was the crazy at the buzzer, all that stuff. And it was like, all right, 7-game win streak was a lot of fun. Let's just see what they're about against, Boston, Clippers, New Orleans, whatever. They go into Boston, outclassed. Like Christian Wood struggled in that game because, not to single him out, but that was one of the guys we were looking at and saying, all right, let's see what he's really about against some like really good teams. He's been balling. He's been playing really well. Goes against Boston, and it was tough. They played New Orleans. Now, obviously, they missed, Zion, Ingram, CJ. They win that game. They lose against OKC, and now they go into this Clippers game, and they're outclassed again. Christian Wood struggles again. It's like, all right, what are we? Are we just going to dominate the bad teams, and Christian Wood's going to ball out? Some of the role players going to ball out against the bad teams, but against some of these like playoff teams, like what? Something's got to happen. Like what type of team are we? Not just a player. And I'm not trying to single out Christian Wood, but I think you do got to at least talk about a little bit of like, all right, this is kind of 2 games in a row against some like a top team, and we need him in this game. We need Spencer Dinwiddie in this game.
Coming up, what was wild about this game? They could have won. They could have won still. Let's talk about that and more, and what the Mavericks need to do and change going forward coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. It's the best place to check out the odds and lines inside and outside of sports. Go check out what they have right now on BetOnline. You can go and see some NBA futures, some NBA specials. What's the special right now? Oh, it's the how LeBron will break the all-time points record. Your favorite thing.
Are you serious?
They have. It's a favorite.
Still?
Your favorite thing. Well, he hasn't broken it yet, so you can still put bets on it. That Bucks versus Hawks game for tomorrow. Bucks are a 2-point favorite against the Hawks. That one is interesting.
Just 2?
2. It's an away game.
Oh, give me the over on that.
You can bet the money line too, -130 for the Bucks.
2?
Check that one out. Also, Kings 9-point favorite against the Rockets at home. Celtics 9-point favorite.
The Kings can move into 4th in the West.
Yeah, so they may be motivated. You can check it out on BetOnline. They also have football for the wild card weekend coming up this weekend. Go check it out. It's BetOnline, where the game starts.
Yeah, wild card weekend, baby.
All right, Isaac Harris. Oh, our teams are fighting each other this weekend. It's gonna be.
I'm not confident, guys. Not at all.
The only ones that count are when Isaac is confident in his Ravens, and my Bengals are bad.
I was so confident in the Ravens last year. This year, my confidence is very low.
The Mavericks almost won this game, right? Like let's talk about how wild that is because of all.
I mean, okay.
Of all the reasons, hey,
I don't know if I'm fully there with you.
All right,
like,
well, don't follow me down this path then, because the Mavericks could have won this game. All the awful things that was happening in this game, of all the reasons they lost, we went over all that. It was a 10-point game with a minute left. A 10-point lead in the NBA is nothing. It's nothing anymore. And
yeah, it felt a little like they were down by like 20 by most of the game, right? Like
they were down by 23 at one point. Yeah, the Clippers had this pretty much in hand, but Luka Doncic had an incredible fourth quarter, and you get pretty close there. And like, if Davis hits any of those 4 threes,
let's just say a 3.
Yeah, any of those 4 threes in the fourth, like all of a sudden I feel like that changes your momentum a little bit. You hit a 3, and then all of a sudden I think it changed. Bullock missed 2 threes in the third. Dinwiddie took that crazy almost logo 3 in the fourth quarter that just he had no reason to take. It felt like Hardy missed that 3 that he wasn't ready for in the fourth quarter. If any of those goes down, you're all of a sudden like feeling some momentum behind you. You're down by like 6 or 7, and you're like, okay, here we go. Luka Doncic can take us back from anything, and then you're betting on this Clippers team that's on a 6-game losing streak. So, of all the awful things that went down, like the Mavericks are still in some of these games. Like they got outclassed in like so many different ways, and because of Luka, because of how good he is, they can still win games like this. If just a couple guys had just stepped up and helped him in any way, they could have won this game. It just wasn't in the calculus and didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you could say Tim had the best game outside of Luka, hitting 3 threes in the game, 6 of 11 from the field, 16 points. Maybe Cleveland, maybe Kobe Alton was watching this game.
Well, Karis LeVert apparently lost the game for the for the Cavs over there against the Jazz. So
that game was actually kind of funny. I love seeing like Clarkson, put it to Mitchell and the Cavs, and it's like, all right,
former teams.
But no, I mean, Christian Wood and Dinwiddie combining for 25 points.
No,
that's just tough.
Not gonna work.
You just can't. I mean, if they're gonna do that, then the rest of your team it just has to hit 1,000,000 threes. Yep. Like that's the game that Reggie has to hit like 7 or 8 threes. Tim has to hit 6 threes. Like that's the only formula that's gonna really work. And they needed more from Dinwiddie. I mean, Dinwiddie and Christian Wood only took 7 shots each tonight. Like, what is that? Like you got to take more shots than 7 shots in this game. And yeah, I mean, that's honestly kind of the story of the game with, is not to go back to Luka's help stuff, but there you go.
That's it for offense, right? Especially if this team has to lean offense because all their defenders are out, like then you have to outscore the other team, and you have to.
And it was a battle of like who was going to win out in this game, in the sense of, going into the game, I'm pretty sure the Clippers had a top 5, top 6 defense in the league, to where Dallas had a top 5. I think they were 5th in the league in offense.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at 2 top 6 teams, one in defense, one in offense. They're going against each other. Like, all right, which one's going to win out? Well, the Clippers defense won out. So, we saw that tonight, and that was one of the things that it was that and the 3-point stuff that I was going into tonight's game, looking at it and saying, all right, Clippers do a really good job of defending the 3-point line. Can Dallas kind of debunk that? And they couldn't do either one of them tonight.
Was there any rotation or roster move that Kidd could have done? I was thinking about that.
No, there was a lineup tonight though and we haven't even talked about it until now. They're in the second half that I don't think we've ever seen before. Luka was the biggest player on the floor for the Mavs, so he was like point center, if we want to say that.
But it was Johnson in the finals.
Yeah, it was wild because it was Luka, Reggie. So it was like Reggie or Tim was at 4, if we want to say that, or the 5. But it was Luka, Reggie, Tim, Frank, and Jaden Hardy. I was like, whoa, what is this? Is it like a 5-guard lineup? Like basically.
And that was part of the lineup that was going on that run in the third quarter that got them.
Rick Carlisle somewhere like, give me the remote. I gotta see this.
Got them within 10 at that point. I don't think there's anything roster. He tried different lineups. He threw JaVale out there for a minute, and then JaVale got pushed around by Moses Brown.
No. JaVale can't play in this game.
That's crazy.
Especially when the Clippers go small. Like, you just can't play a big. I mean, that's why Dallas had a little bit of a chance against, when they went small, because then they could switch. The plus-minus stat, this is one of them you look at this game, you laugh at, because Jaden was a plus 15 in this game. Okay.
That third quarter run.
Yeah, by far the best plus minus. But he had 2 points. He was 1 of 6 from the field. Didn't hit a three. I thought at times he struggled a little bit, but then I thought he played pretty good defense on John Wall a few possessions. And I actually tweeted out during the game because I was like, Jaden's so young. I was like, I wonder like what he thinks of John Wall.
Yeah,
like when he sees him. So I figured it up. I sat there and did the math for a little bit because, we're losing by 20. I was like, I got time. And I was like, what was Jaden Hardy doing whenever John Wall, because obviously being from Kentucky, I vividly remember the Cousins John Wall team and all that stuff. When John Wall was doing the Dougie dance at Kentucky, Jaden Hardy was 7 years old.
No.
He was 7. And then I was like, all right, what was he whenever John Wall jumped on like the scores
He's
table?
in second grade. He was in second grade when John Wall was doing that, which he was probably doing it at school, right?
I think Jaden was like a freshman in high school whenever John Wall jumped on the scores table
with the Wizards. Oh my
with
God.
the Wizards and all that. But
Wow,
it's just wild because I was like, man, Jaden must be like, wow, playing against some of these guys.
This is another growing pains game for him for sure. He got totally stripped on 2 drives like that. That's what happens. Like that's the next level. You see how clearly the levels are in NBA basketball when you're like, okay, playing against this Pelicans team, bunch of guys out. You can drive to the lane whenever you want to. Play against this Clippers team, you drive to the lane and get very cleanly stripped twice, like very clearly because they're just it's a playoff defense and they've got these wings and it's like Robert Covington and whoever else he drove against, Terrence Mann or whoever. Like, we've played playoff reps. Like you can't just drive in against us haphazardly.
And they needed Hardy. They needed Hardy or somebody off the bench tonight to score because they lost the bench points battle tonight by 30. Mavs had 13 points off the bench. The Clippers had 43. 27 of those was Norm Powell, but still 43 bench points compared to 13.
And the Mavs have been winning bench points a lot throughout the year because they've had Wood and Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off the bench at times.
Yeah.
With Hardy, though, he had the greatest assist of the night.
Is that the one that Chris? Oh no, the
Hardy goes driving in. It looks like he gets fouled. He doesn't. They don't call a foul or anything. He's flying he goes from the right side of the rim to the left side, and he chucks up a prayer. And I think it was a shot. I think it was a shot. But then who comes over?
JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee comes flying over and dunks it, and it looks like the greatest pass. If Luka had done that pass, he would have been like, that was a pass. That was intentional. I did that on purpose. That was a pass. I tried to tell them that was a pass, but they didn't give him an assist for it. He didn't get any assists in this game, so it didn't count. But yeah, it's another growing pains game for Hardy, and this is what I was talking about yesterday. You got to play him in these games if this is your roster. You need him later in the season, and he's got to learn in games like this. All right, what's next? What's my next step for me? I'm not just like a ready-made product ready to go, and he's been working, and we're not worried about that. But these type of games keep you up at night, where you're like, oh dang, I have a long way to go if I want to get to where I want to go as a player.
Well, hopefully the Mavs
at this
don't
juncture. Sorry, I had to finish it up with the harp.
Hopefully the Mavs don't stay up at night today, as they have another off day, free day in LA.
Oh boy,
because they're right back in Crypto/Staples Arena on Thursday night against the Lakers.
Bang Bros.
Oh, sorry, that was a mistake. Sorry.
The Lakers, you hit the wrong drop.
Sorry.
The Lakers are.
Did
No, you didn't. The Lakers are playing decent basketball right now, and it's like, all right, we're going to be able to tell really clearly early on if they enjoyed their off day in LA.
For sure.
And then after that, they head up to Portland. They had Portland for a couple games, but they got to stop this from being some type of. They can't lose to the Lakers.
That would just murder. So yeah, this next stretch they have coming up at Lakers, at Portland twice in a back-to-back. Home for Atlanta, home for Miami, home for the Clippers. This next stretch is like all teams that are right around your caliber. It's it's not like a test where you're like, all right, we're going up against the best of the best teams. These are teams right where you should have good battles with them and probably win some of them. Portland, Atlanta, probably Miami, and definitely the Lakers. You should win all those games, but we'll see. And hopefully you get Josh or Dorian back. We'll have updates with that tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll go over a couple of Toronto Raptors suggestions for moves? Looks like they're
say no more.
Looks like they're ready to make
take the
some
whole
moves.
dang team.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. Could they get Fred VanVleet? Is that something that they should do? What other roster moves should they make? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
I want to give a shout out to Will Bradshaw and On for shooting at me some fun tweets tonight. Thanks for listening to the pod. And peace out.
Boom.